Hello and welcome to this special broadcast on One India. As we all know, as India and rest of the world woke up to the news of the assassination of Hamas chief Ismail Haniyeh. That is something that has thrown all the questions into tizzy. To discuss that further and beyond the situation, Dr. Nimrod Goren, Senior Fellow for Israeli Affairs, Middle East Institute, joins us. Dr. Goren, thank you so much for speaking to One India once again, sir.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
Thank you. Dr. Goren, what changes from now on? Is this victory for Israel? Is this a wound on Hamas that it will fight back and come up with a counterstrike? Or where is Iran? How does Iran react to it?
It's a major event. It came as a surprise to many in Israel because all attention in Israel was basically given to Lebanon and Hezbollah. And what happened just a few hours before that, in which one of maybe the top military commander within Hezbollah was also killed in an Israeli strike. So having those two events happen within the same night is something that is a really major event that will have consequences. There will be short-term and long-term. In the long term, it does impact Hamas political power. And one of the goals of the war in Gaza for Israel was not only eliminating Hamas military power, but also making sure that Hamas' ability to govern Gaza or Palestinian politics will be damaged. So that is one aspect of that. And there is the short-term aspect in which there may be a retaliation, whether Hamas, Hezbollah, both of them. So Israel is kind of taking a step back and waiting to see what will happen today, tomorrow, taking precautions, but people are very tense and are not sure where this will lead to in the immediate term.
Right. Dr. Goren, for Israel to commit to take such a step, if we may say Israel as of now, but do you think that several other factors would have also been taken into consideration, like the support of United States? Because this is not just about attacking Hamas leader, it's attacking Hamas leader on Iranian soil. So that puts into a different perspective. So US role, where do you see US role in it?
So first on Hamas, on Haniyeh, unlike the Hezbollah attack, Israel did not take responsibility until now. So there is no formal Israeli reaction. I think all of those observing it are likely thinking that it was an Israeli action, and that's reasonable, but there was no official taking of responsibility. It may happen later on, but until now, that's not the case. I guess that such an operation must have some coordination with the US administration, not necessarily in the specifics of timing and location, but in the principal aspect of things. And we heard already yesterday, after the attack on Beirut, that the American leadership committed to Israel's right to self-defense. So I think here again, the way the Hamas is being perceived in the US is one that will maybe legitimize the Israeli actions or understand the causes for that. It's not by chance, for example, that it did not take place in Doha, where Haniyeh spends most of his time, neither in Turkey, where he was also spending lots of time after October 7. Israel chose to operate in a space in which the fallback, the diplomatic fallback, would be much less significant than on the other countries. And I guess that also takes into account American interests in the region.
Right, sir. Since you have stayed in that region, you follow the geopolitics also of this whole Israel, Lebanon, Palestine, and Iranian topography. How wrong would I be, Dr. Goren, to just imagine and think that this piece of news could be fake also, if I may stick my neck out here? Because Ismail Haniyeh, he had, Israel was on a hot pursuit. We have seen other organizations' leaders also dying many times. They resurface, they die again. Is there, because IRG and Hamas were quick to respond to it, saying, yes, he has been eliminated. I mean, this was too good to be believed.
Yeah, of course, in the Middle East, things are happening in all kinds of ways. So you never know, and people are always thinking of what's really happening and where's the fake news and the misinformation. Looking at it analytically, I think that if the scenario that you're mentioning, as if this didn't really happen, was the case, we would have gotten some indication on that. First, the method in which he was supposedly killed by a rocket that was directed at his room is not a quiet operation. So if that happened, that's visible You have signs of that. It's something people see. It's not like a quiet operation within an hotel room, like happens in other instances. So people know about it when it's happening. And then, although Israel is not taking responsibility for anything, I guess that if this didn't really happen, you would have all kind of leaks through international media or other sources indicating that. So the fact that we are already several hours in and that did not happen increases the chances that this is a true story. But of course, the day is just unfolding, so we'll have to wait a few hours and see the whole picture.
Dr. Goren, one final question. We spoke in the times when the war had just started, I distinctly remember, and now almost a year now, come October, in 2-3 months' time. Is this attack or this assassination any kind of victory for Israel? Can Israel afford to see it like a victory, like an achievement?
First, it's a really long time that this war is taking place. We're talking about a long period of several months in which not only people are fighting, but people are dying and hostages are kept. And it really impacts the daily life, both of Israelis and Palestinians. So the damage is kind of accumulating. I think for Israel, the assassination of Hamas leadership is an achievement, but it's not a victory, because the victory from an Israeli perspective is to free the hostages, first and foremost. We have 115 people still held in Gaza by Hamas, and for the Israeli society, before these people come home, you cannot declare victory. For a majority, about 70% of Israelis now prefer a deal for release the hostages on the continuation of the war. They are willing to stop the war in the current format of it, just to have the people back home. So I think that's what Israelis are looking for, is the return of the hostages. It's creating the sense of security so people can go back to live in those communities close to the Gaza border. And the way to deal with that is eventually diplomatic. So there is a deal on the table, a ceasefire deal, a hostage release deal that President Biden endorses. Such a deal is supposed to also help diffuse tensions between Israel and Hezbollah. The Americans also want to see that leverage into Israeli-Saudi normalization. So there is a big package on the table, but the current Israeli leadership rejects that. And I think that's something that leads to a lot of domestic problems in Israel within the political space.
Absolutely nicely put there. Dr. Nimrod Goren, Senior Fellow for Israeli Affairs, Middle East Institute. Thank you so much, sir, for taking time out this morning amid your busy schedule.
Thank you very much.
Don't miss out. Follow Oneindia for real-time updates.